Okay, so Godzilla vs. Kong, the movie that all throughout 2020, I wasn't even sure was going to happen anymore. There was no marketing or anything. And then ever since they did officially announce it and the release date, sans it getting pushed back a week, just nonstop marketing, hype. Super excited for this movie. I was lucky enough to see it in a movie theater where I am. Safe, low capacity, good experience. If you can see it in a movie theater, I would recommend that. This is a non-spoiler review. I will be doing a spoiler review later on in the week. This review is going to be broken up into 4 main parts: the good, the not so good, the bad, and then some Easter eggs. So Godzilla vs. Kong is directed by Adam Wingard. It stars Alexander Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, and Millie Bobby Brown. Sort of, which we will talk about. And apparently also Godzilla and Kong themselves, because the CGI is so good in this movie that it looks like they're actually there sometimes. So yeah, the CGI, fantastic. Obviously, the lighting and the grading look very intentional. It looks like CGI, I guess you could say, but about as good as it gets, in my opinion. I think this is some of the best CGI we've not only seen in the MonsterVerse, but in any sort of big film blockbuster that requires this amount of CGI. Almost never does it feel like it falters. Where in King of the Monsters, you could even say in some scenes they took some major shortcuts with either the rendering or the models or the animations. Everything in here looks absolutely fantastic. So that's the first great thing on the list. Next thing on the list of good is Kong. Also Godzilla, but this movie is more Kong's movie. There are 2 Godzilla movies and 1 Kong movie in this universe. And this was kind of Kong Skull Island Part 2 guest starring Godzilla in a way. I know that sounds bad, but Godzilla is used to excellent effect here as well. In fact, this is some of my favorite Godzilla imagery and scenes I've ever seen. So he is done well, I promise, but this is more Kong's movie. From the boat scene that you see in the trailers on, top-notch, fantastic. And when I say fantastic, I don't just mean like good. I do mean good, but I also mean like fantastical, like fantasy. The fight scenes and the fight choreography and Adam Wingard's decisions on where certain cameras should be placed and how he frames it, it's all top notch. I don't know how they could have done it better. Obviously, I'm not like a master filmmaker or anything, so I'm sure someone could have, but what we see in the film, just like some mounted camera type of shots, just the way Godzilla looks moving through the water, just the way the characters look. I can't explain it. Godzilla looks better in this one than he does in King of the Monsters, although it's like a similar, if not the same model. Like there's almost no major differences in his character model, but somehow he looks so much better in this one. And then obviously Kong, the way he can emote, very, very well done. A lot of attention given to the cinematography of this film. The next good thing is the score. The synthwave, the orchestral stuff, all that. That is really, really well done, used to great effect, and not what I was thinking about the vibe for this movie, but Junkie XL certainly delivered, and I think that all the fight scenes really were elevated by the music, and all the like suspense scenes were really elevated by the music. So Junkie XL knocked it out of the park. He's done some great stuff, so I didn't expect any less. This isn't what I expected, but like, I guess that's what he does. Not what I expected, but holy crap. So the score was great. And then the last thing I have in the good is Team Kong, specifically Team Kong. We'll talk about the other one in a second. Kong and Gia and Alexander Skarsgård and Rebecca Hall's character are kind of the heart of this movie. Kong's relationship with Gia, they can assign to each other. There's some cool revelations in the film that the characters get to witness and stuff that I think make Kong a sympathetic character that we can identify with and feel for, and they did a great job with all that. And I think Team Kong should have been the only set of heroes in this movie. So moving on to the not so good. Hold on a second, my notes. Yes, Team Godzilla. Not so good. Millie Bobby Brown, Brian Tyree Henry, and Julian Dennison, I guess supplemented with 3 shots of Kyle Chandler. Again, not going to get into too much spoilers here, but they have almost nothing to do. They really only serve as our eyes into certain things, into certain revelations in the film, which is kind of disappointing. I feel like I would have preferred them have a more emotional and character development type of through line from King of the Monsters into this one? Well, you know, they have Millie Bobby Brown and Kyle Chandler, barely, and they're almost useless. And it's like, again, no spoilers, but if they were just going to go with Alexander Skarsgård character, just go with that. Like they could have done better reducing the amount of characters in this film. There's some funny stuff that happens in Team Godzilla. They technically do something, but I feel like the movie almost would have benefited by that not happening and by them not being there. You know, they didn't dive into any sort of issues Millie Bobby Brown is having with the death of her mother and stuff like that. It's just, she's kind of just sassily quipping. Anyways, moving on. So the next thing I put on the not so good is Ren Serizawa. It's not bad, but it's neutral. It could have been there. It could have not. Yes, his character does something, but does he need to be Ren Serizawa? In fact, if he or the other guy didn't ever even say his name, we would have never known. It would have never mattered. They never talk about his relationship with his father. It either got left on the cutting room floor or just never existed in the first place. Why? Why is it there? So, yeah, I don't want to linger on that kind of stuff too much because, well, it'd be kind of spoilerish. And the next thing on my list is actually about the lingering that they could have done. That's phrased weirdly, but I feel like there are some things in this film that should have been completely cut out. Exhibit A and B that I just mentioned. The film would have done better by lingering on certain moments that are regarding like where they go with Kong and some backstory stuff and the ancient rivalry, which is there and it is shown, and there's some cool visual storytelling aspects of it, but there's not anything really particularly gripping. And again, I rag on King of the Monsters a lot, but King of the Monsters, you know, Hollow Earth, worm tunnel, wormhole thing was done to greater effect. I think that they had like more haunting music reminiscent of the original Godzilla. They had a character we knew and care about do something important. And in this, it's cool. And trust me, I want to see a movie on this. And visually it looks amazing. And the vibe there was so cool. The music was so cool. There is some cool stuff there. But I think some of the stuff I mentioned earlier, go into maybe even a flashback. I don't love flashbacks in movies, but how cool would have like a... Okay. That's getting too spoilery. My point, cut some of the stuff that I mentioned that was not so good and linger on certain aspects of the film to really make you feel like you're in it and immersed. I think they could have done that a little bit better, especially regarding ancient stuff that could have been amazing. Talking about ancient civilizations and stuff. Go more into that. There are almost no character interactions that mean anything, at least to each other. That's not just telling us stuff. Obviously, it's very expository. I get it. And this is kind of where I want to take a quick break to talk about humans in kaiju films. So I am of the mind that while we are here to see Godzilla and Kong fight, it doesn't mean the human stuff has to be bad. And again, not all of it's bad, but none of it's anything more than just serviceable. This movie could have been something that I talked about previously, where you really only need a couple of humans, 2 or 3, that don't necessarily have to do anything with the monsters. Maybe they're just experiencing this world. I feel like if you would have taken all the monster stuff and all the monster fights, stripped everything else that had to do with plot, contrived plot, bad script writing and characters and stuff, and just made it characters we care about on the ground level, watching the stuff. Don't cut away to them in the middle of the fights. Keep the fights exactly the same. But instead of cutting to humans doing stuff, and now they're in Hong Kong, how the hell did that happen? And this and that. Just have them be on the ground level, doing an objective of theirs that's getting, you know, horribly blocked by these giant monsters destroying everything. The movie could have had an effect like that. So basically what I'm saying is, I used to be an apologist about this kind of stuff. I still kind of am. Like, yeah, I'm not going to say go see King of the Monsters or Godzilla vs. Kong to get gripping human drama and emotions and characterization and stuff. It's just dumb fun, but it's awesome. And it could be better if the human stuff was also like, oh my God, you know what I mean? You can throw in thought-provoking stuff with the humans and scary stuff with the humans dealing with all this. And yeah, that's kind of just my little rant on that. I put world building in the not so good. Not that it's not good. It was just so close. It was almost there. It was almost there. And that's what I was referring to with lingering on things a little bit longer, or maybe doing more creative storytelling with some ancient stuff. All right, now onto the fun stuff, I guess. I don't want to stay on this too long because I don't want this to be a hyper negative review, because again, I loved this if you couldn't tell, but the bad. So the bad, the villains, cut them. No, toss them in the trash. They were so pointless. And again, not pointless in the sense that they don't do anything or they don't drive the plot forward. Pointless in the fact that it would have almost been better and more, again, thought-provoking if what the villains were doing was done out of desperation from the good guys. And it was just a horrible misstep, like Tony Stark and Ultron type of thing. So yeah, the villain's bad. The next thing on here, the big thing that is bad, the script. This movie asks you to suspend your disbelief. Obviously, Godzilla and Kong, they don't exist. They're big monsters. And then it asks you to suspend your disbelief again. And then it asks you to suspend your disbelief again. And it gets very close to being like, oh, come on. But it's at a point where everything's so exciting that you just don't care and everything's awesome. So while, yes, that sounds like a positive thing, again, this movie should have gone through, you know, scripts usually go through writing rooms and get script doctored and stuff like that. And it almost seems like none of that takes place. It almost seems like this was the first draft. They just went for it. And if that's the case, you know, honestly, really, who cares? The fights are what we were here to see. Godzilla's interactions with Kong are what we were here to see. We got it, and it was amazing. But I do have to technically, as a critic, have to throw the script in the bad. It's just bad. This is a little more personal. So, you know, I'm 31 now. I used to be that high schooler that, you know, oh, I was born in the wrong era, man. Should have been the 60s, 70s. You know, I love Led Zeppelin and stuff. I still love Led Zeppelin and Rush and all that. But, you know, I went through that phase. So I know old music. And there are 3 instances in the Kong scenes where they just play these songs that kind of, I guess, are trying to invoke how Kong Skull Island was. But here's the thing. Kong Skull Island was a movie that takes place at the tail end of Vietnam. You can't make a Vietnam movie without playing The Who or something like that, or one of those old songs, one of those old revolutionary type of songs that really reinvented sound and meant something politically and stuff. Whereas in this one, they tried to invoke that, but they're kind of songs I've never heard of, and they're just really out of place. They just cut randomly at certain points, and like literally from the get-go, the first scene, and this isn't a spoiler, obviously, it's the first scene. You see Kong doing stuff, and it's cute and everything, and this song plays, and it almost took me out of it immediately because of these song choices, and yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but that was just bad to me. But again, doesn't really detract. So I know that all sounds bad. We're done with the bad. We're pushing past that. Let's just round this off with some cool stuff, some Easter eggs. There is a scene where Kong is being taken away by helicopters on a net, and it's very reminiscent of the 1962 King Kong vs. Godzilla, where he's being transported on the hot air balloons. If you like seeing Godzilla get stuff shoved down his throat, why did I say that? You get that. There's a meme. You know the meme. Anyways, moving on. Godzilla being like Jaws. Adam Wingard wanted Godzilla to have a Jaws-like presence, and we get that. It's suspenseful. It's scary even. It's awesome. It was so freaking cool. There are some scenes of Godzilla that are reminiscent of like the early Godzilla films, with him at like the factories with the cranes everywhere, just blowing stuff down, spotlights on him. There's another one. In the 1962 film, Kong, one of my favorite scenes, Kong does a barrel roll of his own will. I don't think Godzilla pushed him at that point. He just does a barrel roll and then knocks his ass out on a rock. He doesn't do that in this movie, but he does a barrel roll, and it got me thinking of that. And I thought, that has to be a callback. That has to be a callback to that. And if it's not, just coincidence, but I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, conclusion. I don't like to give things number grades. I'm going to do it like this. Would I recommend it? Would I recommend it with, friends and a little bit of alcohol, or would I just not recommend it? It's a pass. If you are the type of person who loves like characterization and deep films that make you think and question your own mindsets and stuff like that, you're not going to get that out of this movie. But if you're that same type of person and you like fun, this movie is fun. I know that word's illegal in talking about films, but it is. That's what this is. It's Godzilla vs. Kong. It's a boxing match that we've been waiting for, but the fighters are so much cooler because they're a big lizard and a big monkey. And I don't even think you need alcohol for it. I don't think you need to be a little tipsy or just an outing with friends or whatever. I think you can just sit down and watch this movie in a theater safely if you have the option, or even on HBO Max, and you can just watch it, and it's fun, and you're going to have a good time with it. There's going to be a couple parts you're going to be like, yeah, maybe next watch through I'll fast forward. But overall, like, I could just watch them fight like this forever. The surprises are cool. I say surprises, we all know what they are, but there's some cool stuff in here that you maybe didn't see coming. Overall, yeah, I recommend. I wouldn't pass. You don't need alcohol. I recommend. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you saw it, do you like it? I had a blast. Let me know if you didn't. Let me know if you did. Is there something in here that you noticed that I should talk about in the spoiler review? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.